Raider Nation, let me tell you something. Today was not your average day at Raiders Minicamp. In fact, it might have been one of the strangest and most entertaining days we've seen in a while. I'm going to break down everything that went down on this final day of camp, the players missing practice, some real surprises on the offensive line, and what I think might actually be brewing behind the scenes. And I'll also talk about some players who might be on their way out once Germaine Pratt officially signs, because that move's coming, and someone's gotta go. So stay with me here, because this one has layers. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Let's start with those who didn't practice today. Christian Wilkins didn't go. Neither did Alex Bachman, and most notably, Dylan Parham. Now, I didn't get anything concrete on Bachman, and maybe there's nothing there. But when you're a fringe roster guy and you don't show up on the final day of minicamp, that always raises some questions. But Parham, that's different. That one I'm watching closely. Because here's the thing. Parham wasn't just out today. He was out yesterday too. He was on the field, smiling, dapping up teammates, in good spirits. Didn't look injured, but he didn't participate. And this is a guy who, if it were up to me, would be the starting left guard on day one. I think he fits perfectly next to Jackson Powers-Johnson and Colton Miller, or even slide him to right guard if you want to shake things up and create more competition for Alex Kappa. Either way, Parham's a top 5 lineman on this roster. He's too valuable to be a non-factor. So when he's not practicing, and especially when Thayer Munford is getting first-team reps at left guard, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. I reached out to someone who's been close to the situation, and I asked a pretty simple question. Is Munford just getting fill-in reps, or is this a real competition? What I was told is that Munford and Jordan Meredith were splitting reps at left guard. That's not a placeholder. That's a battle. And honestly, I like Munford. Always have. He's one of those guys I've seen as more of a guard than a tackle ever since he came out of Ohio State. He's got that bully ball potential, and if you're going to play with an identity, stacking Munford, JPJ, and Colton Miller side by side, that's a physical group. But again, where does that leave Parham? Because when you zoom out, things start to look a little crowded. You've got Kappa, you've got JPJ, you've got Meredith, who's apparently right in the mix now, and let's not forget the 2 rookies, Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant, who are very much part of the long-term plan. You don't spend picks on guys like that unless you plan to at least develop them with intention. So, is there something more going on with Parham? A possible injury? A potential trade? I don't want to speculate irresponsibly, but I do want to say this. Parham not practicing 2 days in a row, right as Munford steps in at left guard, and the team still hasn't made a corresponding move for Germaine Pratt? It's worth keeping an eye on. Now, speaking of Pratt, once that signing becomes official, someone's got to go. Right now, the Raiders are sitting at 92 players, and that's not sustainable. So, let's talk about some names who might be on the bubble. And no, Parham isn't the one I think they'll cut. But here are a few guys that make sense. Alex Bachman, who again didn't practice and might already know something we don't. Shedrick Jackson, Jonathan Sutherland, Chris Collier, all of them are possible cuts, especially when you consider how deep this team suddenly is at receiver and O-line. These spots are getting tight. Let's go back to today's action. Tonka Hemingway, rookie defensive lineman, had himself a moment, picked off Geno Smith on a deflected ball. And I think that's 3 or 4 deflected pick moments for Geno this minicamp alone. Now look, I'm not freaking out about it. I'm really not. It's a new system, he's working with new receivers, and it's minicamp. You're supposed to make mistakes right now, but it is something to watch, because deflected interceptions aren't just bad luck. They often point to timing issues or decision-making under pressure. Still, the coaches reportedly liked what they saw from Geno overall, and he finished strong. So, for now, that's what matters. But the real chemistry I'm seeing develop is between Geno and Brock Bowers. That connection is growing fast. And it's real. Bowers had a big day today, again, and I feel like I say that every time. But that's just who he is. He's a pro already, even as a rookie, and he's only going to get better once the pads come on. Another name that stood out? Trey Tucker caught a beautiful deep ball today. Perfect throw from Geno, right over the shoulder, dropped it in the bucket. Tucker's been running with the starters, mostly on the outside opposite Dante Thornton, with Jacoby Myers manning the slot. Michael Mayer is doing his thing as usual, and now you've got Ashton Jeanty getting reps in the passing game too. And that's really what caught my attention. How involved Jeanty is right now as a receiver. We knew he could run, that wasn't in question. Between the tackles, he might already be a top 3 guy in the league. I'm not exaggerating. But what they're doing now? Screens, flats, wheel routes? They're turning him into a full-blown weapon. And if you're taking a running back at number 6 overall, this is how you justify it. Because you don't draft a back that high just to hand him the ball 20 times a game. You do it when you believe he can be your 3-down guy, a game changer. And everything we're seeing at camp says that's exactly how the Raiders plan to use him. Even Raheem Mostert called him generational. Now, I don't throw that word around lightly, and I hope Mostert didn't either. But you watch Jeanty, and there's something there. He moves different. His acceleration, his balance, the way he sees space, it's rare. Here's the prediction: 36 catches for Jeanty this season. That feels realistic. Not too high, not too low. That's around 2 grabs a game, with a little upside built in. But if he goes north of 50, if he hits 60 or more, Rookie of the Year is on the table, no question about it. Now, a couple guys spoke to the media after practice. Pete Carroll kept it light, said he's loving the vibe around the team, the effort, the camaraderie. He even admitted he had no idea about the whole plastic bubble stunt until it was happening, which makes it even better. Shows this staff is keeping things spontaneous and loose, and honestly, I love that. Alex Kappa spoke as well, and I like this detail. He had his kid with him, and he took a moment to speak highly of Jackson Powers Johnson. That matters. That's a veteran giving props to a young guy who's already proving himself in the trenches. As for Raheem Mostert, he spoke at length about Jeanty and how mature he's been. Not just physically, but mentally. Said he's already becoming a pro. And when someone who's been around this league, played for Chip Kelly, been through multiple systems, says that about a rookie, I listen. So before we wrap up, let's come back to Dylan Parham one more time. Because I know people are going to speculate, and I don't want to add fuel to something that might be nothing. But here's what I'll say. It's unusual to see a starter-level guy like Parham miss back-to-back practices with no clear explanation, and with Thayer Munford stepping directly into his role on the final day of camp. Add in all the new faces on the offensive line, and it's fair to wonder, is something happening behind the scenes? Could it be injury-related? Sure. Could it be a brewing trade scenario? Possibly. Could it just be load management or precautionary rest? Maybe. But in this league, nothing is random. There's always a reason, and we'll know more soon enough. That's it for today's breakdown, but don't get it twisted. This roster is still very much in flux. Roles aren't set. Depth charts aren't final. And training camp is going to bring out even more surprises. So keep watching. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because I'll be right here every step of the way breaking down everything you need to know. Raider Nation, we're just getting started.